Somebody has got that. And if it doesn't run, CBS News is too big of an entity to keep it secret. What she's done to this, I think, is a political blunder of the first order. Because now she's made this the biggest goddamn story you can imagine. So everybody wants to know, well, what is the story? Well, you just kicked the thing like a Tom Dempsey field goal.
Hey, James, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being fabulous, 10 being the worst week in the history of mankind, what kind of a week did Trump have?
Somebody should look. Chris Christie did a very good job on this week on ABC. He's a lawyer, and he made the tightest summation of how bad it can be. And I can't do it as articulately as Governor Christie did, but people should watch that. I don't know how you measure. Maybe it was some week in August in '73 that Nixon had, but it's almost unimaginable that somebody could have a worse week than he had.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I look at this Justice Department, James, and it still is mind-boggling. They are totally decided to sift the law on that Trump signed on releasing the Epstein files. It's no longer crazy to suspect that they're scrubbing some of the Epstein files, so it doesn't injure Trump. I don't know that, but I think they haven't shown they earned our respect or our trust. And the Todd Blanche, Ghislaine Maxwell thing I mean, his explanation of why he gave her special treatment, moving her from one prison to what is a country club prison, was, well, she was under threats. Boy, I wish Whitey Bulger could have had Todd Blanche around then.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. If you're a patriotic American, you owe it to yourself to go to Netflix and watch a film called Filthy Rich, Ghislaine Maxwell. I had no idea of what a horrible person this woman is.
Yeah.
And you got to watch it because you think you know, but you don't know. And I'd say one thing in Ghislaine Maxwell's defense is if you look at the way that she grew up and the daddy, she was almost shaped to be who she was. But this is a really important film, and it's on Netflix, and it's called Filthy Rich, Ghislaine Maxwell. And when you see this, when you watch the pain of these survivors, it just comes right through the TV screen there. It just does. And when you watch this, you can see.
Well, I must say that 3 or 4 months ago, I thought this story didn't have legs. As awful as it was, I was wrong. This story has a lot of legs, as it ought to, because of the atrocities that were committed. And those women aren't going to throw in the towel on any of this, and neither are Ro Khanna or Tom Massey. And I think they got Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche and Donald Trump in a real mess right now.
Yeah. When you keep making shit up and it works for a little while and then all of a sudden it doesn't work. I mean, it's one thing to shade the truth. It's another thing to, put your spin on things. It's another thing to lie. And it's another thing to tell staggeringly humongous, laughable lies. Like, Donald Trump's been the most transparent and Jeffrey Epstein than anybody in history. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Let me
I want to address. Go here. Seems that Mr. Bannon went to Turning Point USA and took issue with me saying that Rob Reiner was a more dominant cultural figure than Charlie Kirk. I will deal with Mr. Bannon not today, but probably before Christmas. And Mr. Bannon, I got one thing to tell you. I'll do anything you want, but please don't make me smell you. That's the equivalent of, that's a violation of the 8th Amendment, okay? Which forbids cruel and unusual punishment. But let me repeat, in case somebody doesn't know, the tragedy, both were assassinated, but to say that Charlie Kirk had a more effect on American culture than Rob Reiner is utterly goddamn laughable. And I will continue to point that out. Thank you.
No, I couldn't concur more. James, one more subject. CBS. The new president of CBS News, Barry Weiss, killed or at least sidetracked and pulled a CBS report on how some migrants were being treated at that El Salvador prison. Uh, all I know is the 60 Minutes reporter is highly respected. I know the process they go through. They don't make mistakes very often at all. It was apparently a very tough piece. And Barry Wise, who is in there because of the Paramount people, she's never been a news journalist. She's been an opinion journalist, very successful. Everywhere she goes, she complains she was treated badly. Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Columbia. So then she gets this job for ideological reasons at CBS News. She doesn't know news. She knows opinion. And she's taken 60 Minutes, the most probably an influential show on television in the last, 40 years. And she's making a judgment and telling this reporter that, before she does a piece like this, she ought to call Stephen Miller of the White House. I mean, this just saddens me. It just saddens me because CBS News was the gold standard for so long, and 60 Minutes still is. And if this woman is going to wreck that gold standard, I think it's a terrible, terrible tragedy.
So Barry Weiss, I've only been around her one time. She interviewed me at the Texas Tribune Festival 2 years ago. It's October of 2023. And I will say this, she was exceedingly nice and courteous to me. Now, the journalism part, I don't know, like you know it and what it means, but the political part I know. There's a bet that you make called over-under. In other words, I'll go to the Pelicans Maverick game tonight. The over-under might be 217 and a half. So if the total points are over 218 or more, you win the bet. If it's 217 or under, you lose the bet. I want us to, if they ever decide to run it, I want the over-under on the audience. Because whatever the 60 Minutes audience was going to be for this piece, if they'll conclude that they're going to, and by the way, if they don't run it, I'll say this to Barry, and you've been nice to me, somebody's going to leak it. Okay? Somebody has got that. And if it doesn't run, CBS News is too big of an entity to keep it secret. What she's done to this, I think, is a political blunder of the first order. Because now she's made this the biggest goddamn story you can imagine. So everybody wants to know, well, what is the story? Well, you just kicked the thing like a Tom Dempsey field goal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, I was appalled by the whole thing, but really appalling was when she told the reporter, you got to call Stephen Miller before this story.
I didn't think of that.
I mean, good God. Anyway, okay, we'll be revisiting this story from time to time.